what is the expected program. So, okay, we are still waiting for Maxim. Is Maxim here? And I should also wait for the colleagues who are just organizing the airing of this discussion so that people who are online could see us and listen to us. So now my question is, should we start? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let me welcome you here. My name is Tomáš Opatrný. I am the vice rector of the university. And just about this program, first I want extremely to help to thank Julia Krasilenko, who came with the idea to organize such an event. So just how to start, how this idea came to our mind. When all the things started, I saw at the Faculty of Science that somebody just hanged a big Ukrainian flag there, and that there is a big collection of material help to Ukraine. So I start asking who is doing that. There are many people at the university who are helping by sending money to organizations like Red Cross or Člověk v tísni and so on. So then I was introduced to Julia, and I learned about all the stories which happened around that. And during the discussion, we came to the idea that it may be interesting just to organize some meeting, some discussion between Ukrainian people who face different problems and have different experiences, and the Czech auditorium who just wants to help to Ukrainian people. It is not enough just to come to the square with a flag and show some support, but it is more important just to understand the situation. So this was the beginning of this event, and now what is the idea how to organize that? Because I assume that most of the people here understands English. Those who want to speak English, are fluent in English, can speak English. For those who would prefer their mother tongue, we have here a translator, Uliana, so welcome here. So you can speak in Ukrainian, it will be translated into Czech and vice versa. And the idea how this program is as follows. We have here quite a lot of guests of different background. So first we will briefly introduce each other. One of the very interesting things is that we have here a direct connection to Ukraine. Yesterday we just tried to connect to people in Charkov, in Kherson, and in or just let me in Kiev, yes, and so with them we were talking face to face. So each of them will introduce about the situation there, and then there will be some short blocks of presentations. One of the very interesting things which I was looking forward was about how exactly works things like territorial defense, teroborona. So we have here persons who tell us more about that. Then about how is the help organized here. So various organizations who help Ukrainians here are present here, and the golden end of that will be by Julia, who will tell us something about how is it with Crimea. At the beginning, I would also like to mention that this was organized also thanks to the public relation part of the university, who is organizing the volunteer help to Ukrainian people. So the Vice Rector Procházka and Egon Haverland are here. They would be able just to tell you more answers to your questions regarding how university is helping. As far as I know, there is almost 700 volunteers organized here who spent something like 5,000 hours helping at the regional center of help. So there is quite a lot of things which are happening here. So the main idea here is that there is some help which is organized on the state level and also through various organizations. And we just wanted to bring some direct connection to Ukrainian people. So let me stop here and let's start asking those people who are here from those who are just sitting here presently, and also those who are visiting us on Zoom. So if I'm correct, we see there Ivan Moisilenko, who is from Kherson and who is a botanist. So Ivan, could you please briefly introduce yourself and in a few words tell us what is the situation there?
Thank you very much for the invitation to take part in this meeting. Also, thank you very much.
Maybe microphone on, could you switch it on?
Oh, yes, it's switched on. Hello, hello?
So far we don't hear you.
Hello? Hello?
Maybe let's check the connection whether... No, it's not heard. Ten Zoom není slyšet, můžete na to jenom mrknout, jestli tam je nějaký problém se spojením. Okay, maybe let's switch this for a second because the colleagues will try to fix that. So maybe if I can, just for the introduction in the row as you are here, maybe Julia, would you start just briefly?
First of all, I would greatly appreciate the help of university. I would like to thank for this opportunity to speak about the war in Ukraine. Personally to Professor Opatrny for great support and the opportunity to be connected with the Ukrainians who came here and with the Ukrainians who stayed at our home. And due to this discussion, we hope to connect all Ukrainians here and there. And my name is Yulia Krasilenko. I've been here for 5 years. I'm a biologist at the Department of Biotechnology as a postdoc. I'm also teaching here several courses, and I'm really glad that we will be able to speak about a very acute problem which is not touching only Ukraine, but the whole Europe and the whole world. Thank you.
Yes, thanks. And Yulia is also perfectly speaking Czech, so most of our communication was also in Czech, so great.
I'm trying.
So the next one is Olha. She's a student of psychology who arrived here just for short Erasmus, but the stay may be a little bit longer.
Good afternoon. Yes, my name is Olha. My name is Olha. I'm 19 years old and I'm from Lviv. I study psychology at Ukrainian Catholic University, but this semester I will study here. And I also wanted to warn you that I'm not like public speaker and my English far from being perfect, and unfortunately. Yes, and I would like to tell you about my experience, mainly emotional. Sphere of it, and the 24th of February, this day will never be forgotten by myself, and it started from the phone call from my university teacher who said that we will not have a class in person, and I was asked, and she asked me to share this information with my group mates. And after this moment, my life was divided on before and after. And I didn't expect that in one morning your life can be turned over, totally turned over. And I started to call to my family members and to my close friends, and all my emotional experience can be divided at three parts or three groups. The first is panic, fear, anxiety, and emotional swing. You don't know what to expect from the future, but you believe that it is the first and the last day of war and of Russian invasion in Ukraine. And in the end, Ukraine will win. But my thoughts didn't come true. And on the third day, I have understood that probably it would be better to go abroad for a week, and I would be more productive and more helpful and more beneficial and more useful in the place where I feel myself safety. And the second part of my emotional experience, it was about guilt and blaming myself that I escaped from Ukraine, that I could escaped, but other people from the Kyjev, my family members from the Kyjev and from the Charkov and from another cities, which are considered like the hottest points in the Ukraine, they haven't opportunity just to go abroad. And it's like psychological fact that if you have opportunity to feel yourself in safety, but the others haven't this opportunity, you will blame yourself and you will feel guilt. Also I felt sadness for my home, for my friends, and this moment when you say goodbye to your dad, and you don't know will you turn back to him. So, and after I escaped, I wanted to cry every day during the first week, but I hid my face. Because I was with my younger sister and with my mom, and there was a lot of people around. There was women with their children's. Some children's could be like only a few months, and this small bags and this big luggage, and in this borders it was so cold, and yes. The full day and full night, they just going and going and going and going to become in safe place. So, and the third period of my emotions, and I feel myself now in this way. It's angry. Because I met a lot of different, it's my third day of learning, of studying. I had classes and I met a lot of international students, and when I see person in front of me, which was, with light and with fire in eyes, that he or she wanted to visit Moscow, because it's so nice and so beautiful city, I feel angry. And when I heard a lot of lying about Ukraine and about this situation, I become angry. And so I also wanted to add about psychological perspective, because I'm third year student in Ukraine, and the next my year will be last, and I will get my bachelor degree. And so I think that after this war will end, we should recover not only our buildings, our like physical health, and our economy, and our like culture. I don't know, culture building, and but we also should recover our mental health. And there will be a lot of people with PTSD. It's post-traumatic stress disorder. And it will take years for recovering, but I think it will be like after famine, big famine in Ukraine in 1933, and there was research that even now people have like results, emotional results and psychological results of this famine. And yeah, so thank you for the attention.
Thank you very much. This is, I think, this changed the life of extremely many people, and there are 3 million people who had to leave their homes, and the emotional disaster must be terrible. So many thanks. Now I will ask whether the connection and the audio is possible now. Ivan, could you please try to tell us something, whether we...
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much for the civilians were killed, many buildings were burned or ruined, mostly in the outskirts of the city. Now the situation has become somewhat quieter. There is no fighting in the city last few days, but fighting is constantly taking place on the outskirts of the city. Perhaps so many Russian soldiers are in the city because they feel it is safer there. Our military does not shoot at civilians. The occupiers are harassing local deputies, journalists, and activists. Some have disappeared or their houses have been burned. The occupiers also enter without permission different buildings. For example, yesterday they entered to Kherson Maritime Academy. It is almost impossible to leave the city because there is a lot of fighting outside the city. And we hear about civilian cars getting shot. There is no delivery of medicines, food, and fuel to the city. So this is a problem. But the people of Kherson are showing solidarity and helping each other, and especially helping the elderly and the sick. Therefore, there is no humanitarian catastrophe in the city yet. In addition, we have electricity, water, heating, and internet in most parts of the city. Only the suburbs where there is fighting do not have this. For example, near the bridge across the Dnipro. Classes at the university have been suspended for the time being. We will not work until the 25th of March. Several hundred students live in our dormitories, and the university administration provides them with food and medicine. We also started lectures by world scientists for students at this time. Peaceful protests against the occupation take place daily in the city. We hope that the city will be liberated. Hopefully, it won't take long. If you want to see scientists, let me tell you about the situation in my department, the Department of Botany. Almost all employees of the department have remained in Kherson. Only 2 staff members have left, an assistant and an administrator. All scientists have stayed in Kherson. Maybe most people stayed because Kherson was attacked in the first days of aggression. Currently, staying in the city is much safer than traveling to other cities. Therefore, for the time being, we can't accept job offers in Europe. At the same time, funding for a research project in Ukraine has been suspended. For example, the National Research Foundation of Ukraine yesterday decided to suspend the provision of grant support to all projects in line with a resolution of the Cabinet of Ministers of Ukraine from March 10. This is the largest Ukrainian fund to support science. Other funds have also stopped their activities. Funds are being transferred to the needs of the state. Therefore, Ukrainian scientists are left without funding. Because there is a general mobilization in Ukraine, men between 18 and 60 can't leave Ukraine. Even if Kherson was not occupied, I could not leave Ukraine. So the best option for male scientists in Ukraine is remote work or mixed. Currently, male scientists could work remotely, but when the situation normalizes, business trips may be possible. Female scientists, Ukrainian scientists, are able to leave the country unless they are in a city that is under occupation. So some female scientists could work abroad. That is, in the case of my department, the best way to support scientists is remote or mixed work. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you really very much. Now I will have an opportunity to another person from occupied city. I would just like to ask you, because we want to give opportunity also to the auditorium to ask questions, if the contributions could be condensed as much as possible. Yesterday I was talking to Yevgen, who is working at the zoology department in Kharkiv. So Yevgen, if you could briefly introduce yourself and tell us something about the situation in Kharkiv.
Hello, I'm glad to meet you today. Yes, so now I'm in Kharkiv. Actually, I work as a lecturer in Kharkiv National University, and I also work as an educator in Kharkiv Zoo. So when the war started, I've sent my female students to Poland, and I stayed in Kharkiv myself. Currently, the situation in Kharkiv is complicated because, well, that is a very large city, about as large as Prague, I believe. Before the war, there were 2 million people in Kharkiv, including the suburbs, but nearly half of them have left since this war has started. And during all these 3 weeks, Kharkiv is constantly shelled. It is attacked from salvo fire systems standing in the vicinities of the city. It is attacked by missiles from Russian territory. And also from time to time, there are planes dropping bombs on the city. And unfortunately, a lot of buildings were destroyed, including some buildings belonging to Kharkiv University. Also, quite a lot of houses have suffered indirectly. I mean, they were not ruined, but they lost all of their windows. I suppose that there are like many thousands of broken windows in Kharkiv nowadays. And so one of the main problems is that it is still quite cold. At night, it may be up to 5 or even 10 degrees below Celsius, and without windows and without heating, which is also absent in certain parts of the city, it's very, very hard to survive. And also, there are, of course, problems with the animals. So I work in the central zoo, which operates like more or less normally at the moment, but we also have another zoo in the city. It is called the Feldman Eco Park. It is a private zoo situated at the outskirts of the city, at the northern part, which is most severely attacked. And well, right now, just like half an hour ago, I just read news from them that they were attacked again. And again, there were some destructions. Their apes died, their orangutans and chimps, because of the shelling of the territory. And also several days ago, several keepers, people trying to feed the animals, were killed. And so there are a lot of animals starving. There are a lot of animals which were directly killed in the process of shelling. Some animals were like released into the forest because they didn't have the opportunity to handle them anymore. Some animals were taken by volunteers and so on, but the overall situation is gross and the perspective is even worse. Well, as for me personally, I live in the district of the city, which is more or less okay. We have supermarkets here, heating, water, electricity, and internet. And so our life is more or less normal if we don't count the chance of being killed every single day. But some other parts of the city suffered much more. And in many parts of the city, people are hiding in the underground stations for weeks. So I know people who spent all these 3 weeks hiding at some station of the underground because it is like more or less safe. But of course, living there with very modest supplies for 3 weeks is very hard. So the overall situation is that the Russian troops cannot take the city, but unfortunately, they can still gradually destroy it by shelling.
Thank you. And now I think we visited Kherson, Charkov, and from Kyiv, Grigory Popov, who is entomologist. So Grigory, if you hear us and can connect and briefly just
Yes, I'm connection. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, perfect.
Yes, okay. I'm very glad to see you. I'm very glad to see my colleague Liv. And I'm a scientist in zoology, entomologist from Shmalgausen Institute of Zoology, Kyiv. I'm worked at the Donetsk Botanical Gardens for 15 years and became a refugee in 2014. I'm from Donetsk. The work coached me in Irpin, where I come to my son on 23 February. At 24 February, fighting broke out in Irpin between Ukrainian forces, Ukrainian army and territorial defense, and the Russian occupiers. We spent with my son 2 weeks in the basement of my house. Sometime we go in upstairs to find out information. In the first days, we still managed to buy something in advance from food, which allowed us to even help our neighbors. But after the first week, communication, internet connection, gas, electricity, and water were gradually cut off. On March 8, we walked from Irpin to Kyiv with backpacks and our dog through forests. Now we are in the vicinity of Bila Tserkva city, in the village, where we are enlisted in the local territorial defense. What we did at the Institute of Zoology, the main work of Institute of Zoology is the fundamental research in taxonomy, in genetics, animal ecology, and so on. Most of the collection we lowered into the basement of our building before war in the last days, or evacuated to other cities again just before the war. At risk not only research or researchers, but also our collection, as said Evgen Kiosia, from leaf collection in the Ukrainian zoos to scientific collection of archaeologists, zoologists, paleontologists. We can lost this collection. Many of theirs is not transportable. What I would say about your Ukraine situation, on my mind, the main problem, of course, is the mass killing, murdering of our people in the center of Europe. And On the second hand, main problem on my mind for all of European countries is nuclear danger. As Russia has seized 2 nuclear power plants and bombed the institute with a nuclear reaction in Charkova city, and we can see a huge humanitarian catastrophe in our country, with many refugees to EU countries, and I can say the main what we need is the help from European society and all of everything. I think one of the main problems is medicine. Medicine to civilian, not only our military, medicine to civilian from drug for diabetes and for first aid in our cities and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Grigory, really very much. And in a few minutes, we will hear more about the help, how to deliver medicine and other stuff to Ukraine. Now, I would like to ask the colleagues who are sitting here. So, Polina is a photographer who just recently arrived to Olomouc. Could you just very briefly introduce yourself, Polina, please?
Thank you. Hello, I'll try my English. My name is Polina Zabiszko. I'm a photographer, and I came here to tell you about a long road to Czech Republic during the war. That's all.
Okay, we will have the opportunity. Maxim will have a presentation about how the territorial defense is organized. So, Maxim, could you just briefly introduce yourself?
Good day, everybody. So I'm really glad so many people now are here and so many people are interested in war in Ukraine. So for us, it's very important. It's the most important thing to give the information, the truth to whole of the world. And first of all, to the Czech Republic, what actually are happening in Ukraine. Now I spent about a year in the Czech Republic, and now I'm trying to help refugees here and trying to help with the commitment for Ukrainian army. And thank you very much for your interest in this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Maxim. Now, Gana, if I understood correctly, you are coming from Kyiv. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for this great opportunity to be here. Yes, I came 2 weeks ago, right from Kyiv. I am a mother of 2 kids, and my husband is an active military officer. And also, I am a lawyer. I was my own practice in Kyiv more than 10 years. And I don't know if I should start right now or...
I would say, tell us 5 sentences, and then I think people after this round will have the opportunity just to ask you.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Okay, so now Mikola is here, and I think you speak Czech, right? Or Ukrainian, whatever you prefer.
Tak dobrý den, já se omlouvám, že neumím mluvit anglicky, takže budu mluvit jenom česky. Já nevím, jestli bude nutné tlumočit, nebo...
Okay, my question is here anybody who wants to translate from Czech to Ukrainian? Okay, so go ahead in Czech.
Dobře. Takže já se jmenuji Mikola Abramov, já se v podstatě narodil se v Oděse, je to ukrajinské město na břehu Černého moře. Jo, tady už bydlím 3 roky a od začátku války se začali zabývat humanitární pomocí společně s rodinou Stepanových. A tak jakoby snažíme dělat to, co je v našich sílech, jo, sbíráme tu humanitární pomoc, odvážíme ji do hranic s Ukrajinou a předáváme to dál. Jo, víc to vysvětlím už v prezentaci. Jo, takže za mě to je všechno.
Velice děkuju, takže předám slovo Radkovi.
Tak dobrý den, já taky, pokud dovolíte, tak v českém jazyce dneska představení a pak následně prezentace. K mé osobě jmenuji se Radek Kubíček, pracuji v oblasti krizového řízení a bezpečnosti v tuto chvíli. Zkušenosti samozřejmě i z dřívějšího působení mám v oblasti zdravotnictví a jsem tady dneska v návaznosti na zajištění humanitární pomoci, kterou už tady asi velmi intenzivně měsíc řešíme. Převážně na Ukrajinu a více bych vám rád pak sdělil v prezentaci. Děkuji.
Moc děkuju. A nyní Jana, která je také z té oblasti humanitární pomoci. Jani, prosím.
Dobrý den, já se jmenuji Jana Petřivalská-Vaclová. Já se tady v Olomouci starám o rodinné centrum Olivy. Naší cílovou skupinou i v dobách neválečných jsou naše rodiny, maminky a děti a my jsme se rozhodli, nebo bylo pro nás zcela přirozené se ujmout rodin z Ukrajiny, které přicházejí do Olomouce a postarat se o ně, jak nejlépe budeme moci a jak bude v našich silách. A samozřejmě, to už tady padlo, staráme se také o tu materiální sbírku humanitární. Děkuji vám.
Já moc děkuju. And now let's switch again for a minute to English. Natalia just came shortly ago from Ukraine. She's again biologist, ornithologist with a young son, and the young son told me that he would be also willing to speak in English to us. So maybe we will ask him to. So please.
Thank you very much for opportunity to speak and tell with all with auditory. I'm Natalie Atamas. I'm from Kyiv. I'm an ornithologist in the Schmalhausen Institute of Zoology, what Grigory was talking about, and I leave Kyiv after 3 days when the war begins, and stay here in Czech just about 10 days with my 4-year-old son, who are laughing just here, and she's laughing, thanks God. If my parents now stay in Kyiv because my father is governor engineer of a governor structure, what manager of connection all nuclear power plant in Ukraine, so he must stay in Kyiv and do all this work with my mother. So I know a lot about the situation about nuclear power plants and under the Russian attacks. And it was so scary for me what I made the decision to move into Czech with my son, and my parents insist on this very strongly. So that's all what you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Natalia, thank you very much. So now we have introduced each other. The next part will be focused on presentations. But before that, I think now we heard quite a lot of things. Maybe some of you just want to ask the people here, because the time is not so long. The time is quite short. We will have to end before 6 p.m. So whoever will be not shy and will ask, will have the opportunity, because at least I have many questions and there are many strong experiences, and there is quite a lot to tell. So if you want, you can. If you want to postpone, yes, please.
Hello to all of you. My name is Dita Palaszczakova, and for me it's a pleasure to meeting you all. I have just 2 questions. The first is that I'm supposed to be the coordinator of the overall university collection of money. We are now working really hard on it. There are some legal issues to be solved, but we really hope to open it during next 2 weeks. And concerning this public collection of money, I would really appreciate the help of you all to help me to define the criteria, what you really need the most and how to do it. We of course will have some ideas how to do it, but I don't want to do it without the voice of the people who really need it. So that's my first question, and I understand that we are not going to solve it right now. I just asked the public speaker of university if we can have your emails. So I will write you an email once we have it open, and if you are open to share with me the ideas how to help, what's really needed the most, then I will really appreciate it. And second thing is that on behalf of the Pevnost Poznání, which is the part of the Faculty of Faculty of Science, just Faculty of Science, výpadek. Thank you. We decided to prepare a catalog of different opportunities, how different organizations on the city level help Ukrainian people and families. So we just wrote to all the organizations here, doing little different things in all fields, just to gather the information and put it on the one side. We already have this website platform, and we already prepared the different categories of different kind of helping, including schools, NGOs, sports clubs, so that all Ukrainian people can find it at one place at one time. Because I think it's highly needed now. There are so many people doing so much, but for us, it's really hard to reach you, people who need it. So that's the second thing that I will kindly ask you to help me with, to share this among your communities so that most people know about that. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you, Dita. Maybe somebody could comment. Maybe Julia, do you want to briefly comment these questions?
Sure. Thank you very much for both suggestions and both opportunities. Of course, we greatly appreciate the first one and the second one, and we already have the prepared lists of what is really needed, because we are in touch with many volunteering battalions in Kyiv, and they are sending us the list of first aid medical kits, both for civilians and also for militarists. And we are cooperating with the fund of Radik Kubicek, who is already collecting money for these medical kits, and this is what is really necessary. So kits and tourniquets for blood stopping will be the priority at the moment. And of course, the second more social opportunity is really very highly appreciated, and we will share all the contacts and we will spread this information in social groups, such as a group in Facebook, Olomouc Helps Ukraine, and we will stay in touch, of course, and thanks a lot.
Okay, thanks a lot. And now I think we can move to the next step. May I ask Maxim that you will give us the presentation. The presentation, yes, should be about the organization, how domobrana, the territory, or terobrana, the territorial defense is organized, how it really works.
Hello again, everybody. So I briefly try to tell you about the territorial defense forces in Ukraine, because there are a lot of questions about this formation. What is it? What kind of formation is it? So, and from the start, before I start my presentation, first of all, I want to thank very much all volunteers who help us with our fight, with our struggle. And especially I want to thank Karol Ridlo, who helps a lot with equipment for Ukrainian army, and his work now just in this time I think saves a lot of lives of Ukrainian people. So due to territorial defense forces, these forces, it's not the regular forces, and they are in all the information starts due to the special time or in the road situation. The history of these forces must be in 2014, when the first Ukraine had attack from Russia, and they lose Crimea. It's now timely occupied, and some regions in Lugansk and Donetsk regions. So now I want to say you about exactly formation of the territorial defense forces. They want to protect our home, protect Ukraine, because these forces which divides to protect special regions. They could be in big cities, in small towns, in villages, and the quantity now up to 130,000. But it's official number. But now, because of the war, we have situation then a lot of volunteers try to take part in the struggle, and they try to be involved in territorial defense forces. So they formed volunteers, regiments and platoons, and try to fight against the Russian soldiers. Here you can see the commander of the territorial defense forces. It's Yuri Alimovich Galushka. He used to be one of the heads of the paratroop forces in Ukraine during the operation of joint forces in some regions in Donetsk and Lugansk. And from the 1st January of 2022, due to the law, due to the signs of the President Zelensky, he started to work as a commander of territorial defense forces. You should know that territorial defense forces, as a brigades, platoons, and other formations, firstly formed by operational reserve of the second stage. This means that in these forces, first of all, in service people who has a special military experience or special military training. Thank you. But now, actually, the service in territorial defense forces, it's not like obligatory. It's a privilege because, for example, in Odessa, to get all of the formation of territorial forces, it was taken only half an hour, actually, because a lot of people now want to join this formation and protect their houses. So the main tasks of these forces are protection of public authorities, local governments, critical facilities, and communications. So as they work especially on the territories, so first of all, they should protect the civilian people who are in bad situations during this war. And first of all, they have to protect their own houses, their own towns, their own villages. But due to law, if it will be needed, these formations could be moved to another region to protect and to fight here. Here you can see some chevrons of these formations. Now every region of Ukraine have this kind of formations. They call brigades and battalions due to cities or regions. And here you can see so much different chevrons from all of the Ukraine. And of course, now from the first days of this war, these formations are in direct fight, and they have a lot of successes, and this is one of them from Charkov, territorial defenses fighters. It's Russian combat alter vehicle called Tiger, and now it serves for Ukrainian army. Also, a lot of work for territorial defenses. It helps refugees to get out from the war zones, and we try to help in any cases, in any ways for civilian people. Now it's very hard situation in Ukraine with it, because you know it's very hard situation in Mariupol, for example, and there is almost no green corridors to get out civilian people. But territorial defense do their best to help them as they could. This one of the most famous Russian anti-aircraft missile system called Panzer C1, and this system also was captured by territorial defense near the Nikolaev. It's a region near the Kherson. We heard again from. So, and now we should understand that these people fight every day, every night to protect civilians. And a couple of words about the ammunition of this. It's light infantry, so we don't have very lot of heavy ammunition. It's just assault rifles, anti-tank RPG launchers, and another weapon that could help them to start aggressor. Now it's very good. They have some weapons from our partners. For example, it's in-love systems, which could help very much to stop Russian tanks. So I want to thank everybody, and I hope everybody now could understand something about the territorial defense forces. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Maxim. It's really very interesting. I just noticed that one of the chevrons for Ukrainian this territorial defense is called Kyivskaya Rus. Is that correct? That okay. Could you just tell me approximately what is the proportion of the size of the regular army and the territorial defense, and how big these two bodies are?
Actually, we don't know actual quantities of these territorial defenses, because due to law it should be about 130,000 of them. But now, because a lot of people want to join these territorial forces, we could count about at least twice more. Even if we're talking about this quantity, it's not all the people who are now fighting near their villages, near their small towns or big cities, because also there are a lot of volunteers who try to cooperate with military forces and with forces of territorial defense, which are actually the part of military forces. And actually now it's about a half or even larger as due to military forces.
And how does it work typically? There are many adult men who are in Ukraine, professors, students. Will they be drafted to regular army or to this territorial defense?
As I told, now it's not an obligatory, but it's a privilege to get to the territory forces. So, first of all, on the places, the commanders try to get the people who has a real experience in service in fight situations. Everybody actually could enter the territory forces. There is now. It's not very important, but now we don't have any shortage to people.
Okay.
May I add some words? Excuse me.
This direction. If not, okay, we can switch do češtiny, takže přejdeme k druhé sérii prezentací. Abych poprosil Radka, kdyby nám tadyhle řekl něco o organizaci, kterou on vede.
Tak ještě jednou dobré odpoledne, já se ten zkusím zhodit. Tak jo, já jsem tady prosím vás dneska s tematickým příspěvkem humanitární pomoc Ukrajině a zdravotnický materiál lékárničky IFAK. Proč lékárničky IFAK? Lékárničky IFAK je zdravotnický materiál, který je vyloženě určený pro mimořádné události, to znamená se speciálním vybavením pro těžce raněné, což v tuto chvíli, co se týká válečného konfliktu, tak ta kompletace respektive probíhá na základě těch požadavků, které přichází i díky spolupráci vlastně přímo, co se dotýká těch válečných žalob a vůbec těch požadavků na tu následnou kompletaci těch lékárníček. Tak, teď se mi to zase přeplo. Takže prosím vás, aktuální stav, který v tuto chvíli je, tak už se nám podařilo doručit 50 lékárniček, které byly poskytnuty darem přímo do oblasti postižených válečným konfliktem. V tuto chvíli ta přímá pomoc byla díky tady kolegovi Mikolovi a Sergejovi přímo doručena do Užgorodské nemocnice. Co se dotýká té kompletace toho zdravotnického materiálu, tak probíhá ve spolupráci se zdravotníky. Já sám mám nějakou pracovní historii na úrazové chirurgie fakultní nemocnice Olomouc a respektive, tak jak už jsem řekl, ty zkušenosti, co se týká těch vybavených lékárníček, tak jsou lidmi, kteří pracují tak, jak jsem pracoval já ve zdravotnickém zařízení a vyloženě se to opravdu v tuto chvíli aktuálně doplňuje o ty požadavky, které přichází z té ukrajinské strany. Ta dodávka zdravotnického materiálu je v tuto chvíli hlavně z těch logistických skladů. Dbáme na to, aby opravdu to byly i certifikované výrobky, to znamená české a německé, které jsou vyloženě osvědčené a máme s tím velmi dobré zkušenosti i v rámci dodávek, které jsme prováděli již dříve. Tak, co se dotýká, v tuto chvíli máme větší zásoby toho zdravotnického materiálu. Já jenom s dovolením si kliknu na tu veřejnou sbírku, která v tuto chvíli probíhá. Je realizována prostřednictvím rodinného centra Olivy, který tady tuto sbírku založili. Budeme velmi rádi, když se zapojíte. Každý den nám přibývá i nějaké finanční prostředky. Každopádně ta cílová částka je v tuto chvíli nastavená na 300 000. Takže pak budeme velmi rádi, když to i třeba nasdílíte prostřednictvím různých facebookových profilů i v rámci univerzity, která už toto veřejnou sbírku propaguje. Tak. Tak, takhle vypadá ta vybavená lékárnička, jenom abyste věděli, to jsou opravdu takové velké sety. Teďka v tuto chvíli vlastně máme požadavek na turnikety, co už tady bylo řečeno, takže se budeme snažit je co nejdříve sehnat, protože opravdu ta situace se mění ze dne na den a některé věci, které byly potřeba, tak už dneska potřeba nejsou a prioritu mají jiné věci, takže se pokusíme zapracovat, aby ta dodávka toho materiálu do těch válečně postižených oblastí byla opravdu co nejrychlejší. Tak, jak se můžeme pomoci nebo co můžeme pro to udělat? Tak jedna věc je oslovit právnické osoby a firmy, které by měly zájem prostřednictvím buď darovací smlouvy přes rodinné centrum Olivy, anebo rovnou přímého nákupu, zakoupit tady tuto lékárničku. Popřípadě, pokud máte nějaké tipy na nějaké nadace nebo nadační fondy, které jsou schopni poskytnout nějakou finanční dar nebo jinou materiální pomoc, prostřednictvím která by sloužila i ke kompletaci těchto lékárniček, budeme za to vděční. A kromě toho samozřejmě se všichni z nás můžeme zapojit do veřejné sbírky, minimálně už jenom sdílením mezi naše přátelé, protože každá stovka se dneska počítá a určitě pomůže k tomu, aby se nám to tam podařilo co nejdříve dopravit. Tak, jak už bylo řečeno, jsme tady všichni na stejné lodi, takže mé heslo je společně pro Ukrajinu, společně to dokážeme. I malé věci, když se nějakým svým způsobem nastřádají, tak dokážou dělat velké věci. Takže jak už jsem řekl, koordinátorem veřejné sbírky jsem v tuto chvíli za rodinné centrum Olivy já. A co se dotýká té kompletace a dodávek lékárniček, tak je to i moje společnost 2K Consulting, takže budeme velmi rádi, pokud se k nám zapojíte. Já děkuji moc za prostor a čas, který jsem tady mohl věnovat a případné dotazy rád zodpovím. Děkuji.
Radku, moc děkuju. Jenom ještě se zeptám, Ukrajina je obrovská země. Podle čeho se rozhodujete, kam ty lékárničky dovezete?
Tak já díky tomu, že vlastně od začátku koordinujeme tu přímou pomoc díky tady kolegům a přátelům z Ukrajiny, kteří vidí přesně, do jakých postižených oblastí ta pomoc má být cílená. Takže v tuto chvíli víme o Užgorodu, víme o Charkově a víme o Kyjevě. Takže vždycky je to podle těch aktuálních potřeb, kdy vlastně ti volteři nebo ti pendleři se rozhodují, kde ta přímá pomoc je nejvíce poptávaná a tam pak následně ty lékárničky jdou.
Děkuji moc. Hnedka dám prostor Mikolovi, aby nám odprezentoval svou část.
Tak dobrý den, vážení paní a panové. Tak řeknu ještě jednou, že já se jmenuji Mikola Abramov. Jo? A my jsme v společnosti s rodinou Stepanových a s podporou rodinným centrum Olivy, s podporou Radka Kubička se děláme takovou humanitární pomoc sbírky. Já vám řeknu, jak se to všechno to začalo, jo? Že první dny od začátku války v Ukrajině jsme byli prostě jako omanení. Jo? My jsme nevěděli, co máme dělat, kam jít, hlavně čím můžeme pomoct našim spoluobčanům. A nikdo z nás neměl právě zkušenosti ve volontérství, proto jsme museli přijít na to všechno sami. Jo. A začalo to tak, že prvními z nás byla rodina Stepanových, Olga a Sergej, tady oni jsou. Jo, a Olga začala prostě zveřejňovat posty na Facebooku a žádat své známé z České republiky o podpoře ve sbírce humanitární pomoci. V plánu bylo nakoupit a nazbírat věci, které sbírají volontéři ostatní. V plánu jsou to deky, karimátky, spacáky, trvanlivé jídlo, instantní kaše, polévky, energetické tyčinky, čokolády, jakýkoliv cukry, léky, zdravotnické potřeby, hygienické potřeby, mobily, powerbanky. Takže prostě ta sbírka byla taková, jakoby sbírali všecko, co bylo možné. Jo? To bylo na začátku. Tady na obrázkách to vidíte, že to bylo naskladáno všecko u nich v bytě. A dál to řeknu, že jo, ještě. Pak druhá otázka se stala, že jak se to nazbírané zboží můžeme přepravit přesně k tím, kdo to potřebuje. A nechtěli jsme, aby ta sbírka skončila někde u hranic prostě Polska nebo Slovenska, aby byla na veřejné hromadě. Jo? A my jsme chtěli, aby ta sbírka, aby ta pomoc dorazila přímo k tím lidem, kteří to potřebují. Tak Sergej se domluvil s duchovními z pravoslavné církve, které se nachází na Ukrajině a v Slovensku. A přesně s duchovním panem Ivanem na Slovensku je to Ubla, město Ubla, kde sbírku jsme mohli uskladnit a nechat do toho, pokud nepřijede druhý farář z Ukrajiny, Petr Griga, který se nachází v Užgorodě, a tu sbírku vyzvedne a on už má s tím zkušenosti, on tu sbírku přeposílal přesně tam, kde je třeba. Tak jako teď řekl Radek, že ti lékárničky se dostali na Užhorodskou vojennou nemocnici, na vojenskou. Jo? Jakoby věci byly rozstříděny mezi lidmi, kteří to třebovali a dál. Jakoby on to už dělal. Takže tady vidíte ta cesta, tady vidíte zprava je ta kaple, jo, tahle nachází na hranici v Ublě. Za pár dnů nazbírali humanitární pomoc v objemu, kterým prostě málo umístilo se jim v bytě a tuhle sbírku museli odvést dvěma automa a dvakrát a jeli to prostě svými osobními automa za své. Pak už jakoby k té sbírce, k té rodině se zapojila i moje rodina. Jo, a my jsme začali přemýšlet na to, že potřebujeme nějaký větší sklad, nějakou větší jakoby, slaženou tu logistiku. Takže mně se podařilo se domluvit se skladem, který nám dobročinně dali jakoby České dráhy, nám to poskytli, že můžeme tam skladovat ty věci zdarma a jako na neomezený čas a za to je moc vděčně. Jo. A tady zpráva, jste vidíte, že byl takový vytištěný plakátek, bylo to spolu s rodinným centrem Olivy a podařilo nám už tu sbírku jako zveřejnit v Olomouci a nebylo to jenom soukromá a už bylo z celého Olomouce. Tady se vidíte, že jako, přihlásili se hodně dobrovolníků, bylo to každá sobota a nám se pomáhali, tady vidíte ten sklad, že opravdu bylo toho hodně. No, pak se já dohodl ve společnosti, v které pracuju, že mě v podstatě jakoby poskytli taky dárem auto, kterým jsme mohli to vozit na tu hranici. Jo, to byla taky velká pomoc. Tady vidíte, že to nadspali toho plné auto. dost jakoby důležitý čas, že bylo nazbíráno hodně teplého oblečení, karimátky, spacáky, to jo, všecko zdravá výživa, ale nejdůležitější bylo takové, že to léky a zdravotnický materiál, obvazovací materiály. A děkujeme Radku Kubičku, že nám dali dárem 50 lékárniček a podařilo se dostat to přesně do té vojenské nemocnice. Během té sbírky se nám ozval řidič, který jel do Charkova. Já se s ním mluvil, on řekl, že jo, jedu tam. Jako vím, že to může být cesta prostě jeden konec, ale tam jedu. Jo. Takže my jsme z našeho vybrali to nejdůležitější, protože tamhle je taková ten problém, že nemůžeme dát všechno a tam je prostě nějaké malé místo, protože on jede po celé České republice, nás nazbírá a odveze přímo do Charkova. Takže my tam vybrali prostě léky, jídlo, všecko, co bylo nutné v Charkově a předali jemu. Takže a dolů už máme ty fotky z Charkova. Dál jsme pokračovali ve sbírce jako stejným způsobem, takže přes týden sbírali humanitární pomoc u sebe doma, pak odvázeli do skladu a veřejná sbírka pokračovala ve skladě v pátek. V sobotu odvázeli na hranice s Ukrajinou spolu s Sergejem. Jo. A teď společně s rodinným centrem Olivy chceme začít pomáhat ještě matkám s dětmi, které teď nachází v Olomouci a potřebují podporu. Takže budeme pokračovat ještě v tom směru, že sbírka bude probíhat v Olivách a budeme poskytovat tu podporu těm matkám a oni můžou tam přesně vybrat to, co potřebují, nějaké oblečení, kočárky a tak dál, že možná nějaké jídlo a no přesně to všechno, co potřebují a najít tam nějakou společnost taky. Tady se proběhla ještě ta sbírka na univerzitě Palackého. Jo, a tuhle sbírku my jsme přesně vezli taky na tu Ublu, ale domluvili si, že to jede přímo do Charkova. Takže tady vidíte, co bylo nazbírané. Tady jsme moc vděční za tu vlajku. Kluci to šili svýma rukama. Jo. A tady Julia jako přidala ten slide, nevím, jestli mám to říct já prostě z toho, nebo...
Že částečně ta materiální sbírka od univerzity šla není jenom do Charkova a do Kyjeva, protože spolupracujeme s gospitaliérmi. To je taková dobrovolnická organizace mediků a paramediků. Tady můžete podívat jejich ten ševron. Oni třídí a potřebují ty lékárničky a taky materiální pomoc a vědí, kam to přesně dát a spolupracují s kyjevskými teritoriálními obranami. Takže od univerzity byla taky přímo pomoc tím lidem, jaké jsou v Kyjevě. A vím, že spacáky šli přímo do kyjevského metra, že pro ženy a děti, jaké seděli tam, ne všichni měli dost, takže děkuji moc tím, kdo přinesl takové teplé věci. A ještě určitě ty lékárničky a dalekohled, jaký byl na tím slajdu, co bylo předtím, a taky byl použitý pro jako detekci těch diverzantů, že by možná bylo vidět na dálku. Určitě mají jako větší a silnější dalekohledy, ale ne všichni, protože je hodně dobrovolníků v těchto strukturách a oni potřebují takové věci. Díky.
Slava Ukrajině.
Herojem slava.
Nikolaj, moc krát děkuji. Hnedka dáme ještě slovo poslední prezentaci a tady jsem dostal zprávy od osoby. Tak děkuju. Jenom než co předám slovo ještě Janě, tak
mezerníčkem se přepínám. Vážení přátelé, už teda jenom velice krátce doplním, jak probíhá pomoc, zejména směrem k ukrajinským rodinám tady v Olomouci. Vlastně všecko podstatné, co se týká materiálních sbírek, organizovaných vlastně za pomocí Olgy a Sergeje Štěpanových, Mikoly, Radka Kubička, to už bylo řečeno. My to zaštiťujeme jednak z pozice právnické osoby, protože jsme zjistili, že tento statut, ačkoliv myslím v této situaci není tak podstatný, tak velice pomáhá tomu legalizovat sbírky, také je nějakým způsobem propagovat a dostávat právě do těch cílů, do kterých se ty sbírky potřebují dostávat. K té sbírce, která vlastně probíhala směrem na Ukrajinu, nyní navazuje ještě sbírka, která už přímo míří na ukrajinské rodiny žijící nebo dostávající se díky té válečné situaci tady do Olomouce. My tím, že jsme rodinné centrum a je naší milou povinností a naší milou činností, že se staráme o olomoucké rodiny, vlastně už 10 roků, tak nám přišlo celkem přirozené se ujmout této role i v případě těch ukrajinských rodin, které tu pomoc teďka nutně potřebují. Takže sbíráme věci, zjišťujeme informace, kdo co potřebuje. Máme sklad, dostali jsme nové prostory, takže máme sklad, kde budou už od pondělka k dispozici, počínaje oblečením, pokračujíce hygienickými potřebami, plenkami, veškerými možnými léky, potřebami pro miminka. Neustále zjišťujeme, co je zapotřebí, scháníme finanční prostředky, ať už od sponzorů nebo od nadací a zajišťujeme prostě, co je zapotřebí a okamžitě to posíláme tam, kam je to zapotřebí. Takže možná ode mě výzva k vám, pokud víte o někom, o komkoliv, kdo cokoliv potřebuje, moc rádi, pokud se to týká právě rodin, dětí, moc rádi se tady k těmto informacím dostaneme, okamžitě to řešíme, neotálíme. Dále zprostředkováváme jakékoliv informace o nějakých ubytovacích kapacitách. Jakmile se dozvíme informaci, že někdo má nějakou možnost někoho ubytovat, většinou během několika hodin už je to ubytování opět poskytnuto tam, kde zapotřebí. Já to nebudu moc protahovat, tady je ta sbírečka, o které jsme mluvili, vlastně jak probíhala v těch 3 fázích. A co je teďka aktuální a důležitá informace, rodinný centrum Olivy asi takovou šťastnou náhodou 1. března získalo nové prostory a my jsme se ani moc nerozmýšleli a rozhodli jsme se z těchto prostor vybudovat centrum pro rodiny z Ukrajiny. Tak, jak funguje rodinné centrum Olivy pro naše české rodiny, tak bude fungovat pro rodiny z Ukrajiny. S tím, že nám jde zejména o to, aby příchozí maminky s dětmi zejména měli zázemí, měli prostor, kam můžou přicházet, měli prostor, kde můžou spolu navzájem trávit čas, kde můžou sdělit to, co právě prožívají. To mi přijde to nejpodstatnější. Když sem ta rodina přijde, aby nebyla sama, aby měli místo, kde vždy pro ně bude někdo, kdo s nimi promluví, kdo jim nabídne pomoc. S tím, že vlastně my, kromě toho, že poskytneme prostory pro nějaké volnočasové aktivity, volnou hernu, tak my se staráme také o duševní zdraví, o psychiku našich rodin a to stejné také hodláme poskytnout i ukrajinským maminkám s dětmi. Takže kdokoliv bude potřebovat jakoukoliv třeba psychologickou pomoc nebo poradenskou, máme i kontakt na lidi, kteří jsou schopni poskytnout také nějakou duchovní útěchu, co si myslím, že v těchto dobách je rozhodně důležité zmínit. Co plánujeme v budoucnu v těchto prostorách? Teď je to momentálně ve fázi, že máme ty prostory vyklizené, vymalované, v podstatě k používání budou během příštího týdne zprovozněny. My jsme fakt tomu věnovali velké úsilí, aby bylo možné tam opravdu, aby to zázemí bylo fyzicky hmatatelné, použitelné, důstojné, čisté, teplé. Budou tam k dispozici jednak prostory pro děti ke hře, prostory na odpočinek pro maminky, bude tam takový praktický věci jako internetový koutek, vše v ukrajinštině, aby rodiny, pokud budou mít potřebu třeba se přes počítač spojit s kýmkoliv na Ukrajinu, aby ty možnosti měli, aby se dostávali snadno k těmto informacím. Bude tam kuchyňka, prostě praktické věci, pračka, to, co kdo bude prostě potřebovat, zajistíme. Ale ta priorita pro nás je zajistit hlavně jednak taky kontakty na ukrajinské rodiny, které už stabilně žijí tady v Olomouci. Ty rodiny, se kterými já teda komunikuji, jsou velmi ochotné těmto lidem přicházejícím do Olomouce pomoci, pohovořit s nimi, navést je, kam budou potřebovat. Ono je toho hrozně moc. Dále jsme třeba schopni zprostředkovat nějakou mobilní službu z úřady. Jo, jsme schopni přivést úředníky, notářskou pomoc zprostředkovat. Takže asi takto. Děkuju vám za pozornost. Moc krát ještě bych ráda poděkovala všem, co pomáhají a na vás všechny velmi myslíme.
Já děkuji moc krát vám, děkuji moc ostatním kolegům, kteří se na této pomoci podílejí. Maybe again I would switch to English because it occurred to me that on Zoom we got a connection to Alex Zaklecký. Alex, can you hear us? Because he's a guy in Kyiv. He's a deputy director of a art gallery and working at territorial defense. Yesterday we spent quite a long discussion. Alex, because our time is not very long and we still want to have a presentation by Julia, I would be happy if you would tell us just very briefly about what's going on in Kyiv now, what's your life, and anything what is not secret from your work at territorial defense. We will appreciate.
Well, добрий день. First of all, sorry, my Chestina not so good as I want, so I will speak English. Sorry. The situation is not good, really not good, because we have a shelling and missile attack and air strikes all over the Ukraine and in Kyiv. And maybe you know that from yesterday to today, Russian forces had bombed the theater in Mariupol. It's not a strategic object, as you understand, and there's the same situation in Kyiv. They bombing all they can aim, and a lot of civilians wounded. And nowadays, more than 108 childs had died, had killed because of Russians. Because of Russian shelling, because of Russian aggression, and but the main problem for us, for all of us, it's eco-terrorism and chemical terrorism, which Russians making right now. What I mean, first of all, that they captured Chernobyl power plant, they captured Zaporizhzhia power plant, and they want to capture the Yuzhno-Ukrainsk nuclear power plant. All this is a nuclear plants. As you understand, it's any nuclear plant is very, very hard to manage object, and you have no two equal nuclear reactors.
Alex, would you like to switch to Ukrainian, because we have a translator here? So maybe if you want, you can talk in Ukrainian and Uliana will translate into Czech. Would that be okay for you?
Okay, I can. Отже, проблема в тому, що на даний момент захоплено дві атомні станції. На Чорнобильській станції росіяни відключили всі три лінії підживлення. І вона певний час залишалася знеструмлена і живилася виключно на аварійних генераторах дизельних. На щастя, Білорусь підключила зі свого боку електрику, бо в противному разі ті відходи і відпрацьовані теплоелементи радіоактивні, які там знаходяться, могли перегрітися і вибухнути. Тобто це було зроблено абсолютно свідомо. Коли зникло живлення з останньої лінії, українські фахівці-електрики поїхали ремонтувати і потрапили під обстріл. Ви розумієте, тобто це не була просто, скажімо так, нехлюйство, що ой, ми відробили. Тобто вони спеціально це зробили. Друге, вони зараз захопили Запорізьку атомну станцію. Що вони збираються з нею робити, не зрозуміло, але ви розумієте, що навіть якщо вони будуть намагатися її зупинити реактори, нерегламентована зупинка атомних реакторів суттєво збільшує шанси на аварію. Тобто ми можемо в будь-який момент, на даний момент, ви маєте це усвідомлювати, в будь-який момент ми можемо отримати атомну аварію втричі більшу, ніж та, що була на Фукусімі в Японії. І це посеред Європи. Це перше.
Maybe can we let Uliana now briefly translate? I think those of us who had Russian at school, at least I understood, but I got something because there is some physics, but maybe Uliana, if you could briefly translate.
No, takže nyní je taková situace, že jsou napadené 2 atomové stanice na Ukrajině, to je Zaporožská a Černobylská atomná stanice a největší problém je v tom, že je odpojena elektřina a to hrozí hrozí to vypuknutí velké katastrofy, protože bez té elektřiny by mohly zapůsobit takzvané radioaktivní odpady, v výsledku čeho by mohlo být velká exploze. Naštěstí naši odborníci z Běloruska nám pomohli, protože připojili rezervní elektřinu, tak toto pomohlo a také ukrajinští odborníci snažili se tam dostat na tu černobylskou atomovou stanici a něco opravit, ale podlehli obstřelování, takže bylo to velmi složité a nebylo možno se to tam dostat. Myslím si, že to bylo všechno uděláno schválně, to dělají nám na schvál. A ta stejná podobná situace je i se Záporožskou atomovou stanicí. Tento problém znamená, že jsme ve velkém ohrožení, protože tyto 2 stanice by mohly havarovat a tato havárie by byly následky 3krát větší než japonská Fukushima.
Хотів би підкреслити, що це не була допомога від Білорусі. Білорусь точно так же об'явила війну Україні, де-факто. Наступ Росії ведеться на Київ з території Білорусі. Обстріл Києва теж ведеться з території Білорусі. Те, що Лукашенко підключив Чорнобиль до свого електроживлення, це такий красивий жест, щоб в подальшому знову ж таки шантажувати всю Європу.
Ano, no, chtěl jsem jenom zdůraznit, že bohužel ze strany Běloruska to nebyla žádná přátelská pomoc, protože v podstatě Bělorusko ovlivněné Ruskem nám prohlásilo válku a ze strany Běloruska se obstřeloval i Kyjev, a takže to je takové falešné gesto a vůbec to není přátelská pomoc tím, že připojili tu elektřinu k atomové stanici.
Також маю зазначити, що під обстрілом знаходиться Маріуполь, де не тільки знаходяться заводи по виробництву металу, а також найбільший в Україні коксохімічний комбінат. Якщо по ньому потраплять такі снаряди, або бомби, або ракети, то в Азовське море витечить дуже багато токсичних речовин. Азовське море буде отруєно, можливо, повністю. Також буде отруєне Чорне море і Середземне море. Звісно, що в меншій ступені, але тим не менше. Величезна кількість, також, відповідно, будуть отруєні ґрунтові води. І все це загрожує в першу чергу зриву посівного сезону в Україні, а Україна постачає 10% всього світового зерна. Це призведе до голоду. Перш за все в країнах Африки і Азії, але також це призведе до критичних зростань цін на продукти і в Європі теж.
Ano, také bohužel je ohrožené i město Mariupol, které je bombardováno, stále bombardováno, a jsou tam ocelárny a například jedna z největších továren, koksochemických továren, pokud by byla bombardována, tak hrozí to tomu, že odpad se dostane do Azovského moře a z Azovského moře budou vyplavené různé toxické látky, taky se to dostane do Černého a Středozemského moře a bude nejenom, tím pádem bude znečištěna půda a dále to hrozí hrozí to začátku sezóny takzvaného zasetí pšenice a další ohrožení je, že pšenice dovážeme do států Afriky a Asie, takže hrozí to nedostavením zboží do Afriky, do Asie. To taky ohrožuje i ohromné zvýšení cen na obilí.
Таким чином, війна в Україні загрожує, перш за все, екологічною та гуманітарною катастрофою не тільки Україні, а всій Європі і світу, з відповідними проблемами з біженцями, у порівнянні з якими сирійська криза, яка також була інспірована Росією, нам буде здаватися просто, вибачте мене, дитячою забавкою.
Takže to znamená, že ta válka na Ukrajině bude ohrožením ekonomickým a humanitárním, to bude ekologická humanitární katastrofa nejen na Ukrajině, a takže v Evropě, a takže v celém světě. A ještě se omlouvám, ty poslední věty, prosím vás, co jste říkal, nějaké srovnání, já bych chtěla slyšet. Tam bylo, že s něčím jste srovnal ještě tuto válku.
І нарешті...
перепрошую. Ще ви сказали, якась там, ще з війною ви прирівняли, я не почула.
Я сказав, що сирійська криза з біженцями, яка теж була інспірована Росією, бо Росія втрутилася у внутрішні справи Сирії і тим самим створила взагалі проблему для всієї Європи з сирійськими біженцями, нам здасться просто дитячими забавками.
Že ve srovnání, že ta syrijská krize, syrijská válka, když Rusko taky vstoupilo na území Syrie a ta krize s uprchlíky, což teď také máme krizi i s uprchlíky z Ukrajiny, ale to bude mnohem horší a to bude jako dětské hrání ve srovnání. Ta Syrie to vlastně bude jako dětské hraní ve srovnání s tím, co se může stát dál kvůli válce na Ukrajině.
Maybe we will have to slowly go towards end. Would you just tell us how is the situation at the place you are right now? You are in the center of Kyiv. Is there electricity? Is there heating? Is there water? How is the life just where you are now?
Well, the place where I'm now situated is, yes, it's with electricity, with water, with food, and one of my goals, my works, everyday work, is to make shelters in basements for civilians. Because, you know, we have some shelters which were built in 2050s, 2060s. It was a time of Cold War. And then, well, nobody believed that it is possible that a new world war will be. And that is why it was abandoned, forsaken, and sometimes the better situation if it was used for some business, and it is we can use it for as a shelter, but the most of them. In very bad situation, and now we have to revitalize it, bring new electricity line, bring new water supply, new filters, and etc., etc., etc. Of course, the situation not so awful as in Mariupol, for example, but why I was late? Because I was in support convoy of deputy of French Parliament, who was there for 4 or 5 days, and now he go out from Kyiv because Russian embassy in France said that Ukraine planning to use chemical and biological weapon on the territory of Ukraine. As you understand, it's a lie. It's a shit-mouthed lie, because Ukrainians does not use any biological or chemical weapon at all. But Russians use sarin. It's very aggressive neuroparalytic gas in Aleppo, in Syria, for bombing civilians. They use special aviation bombs with this poisoned gas to capture Aleppo. It is absolutely possible that they can use this gas for capture Kyiv, just to poison all civilians, and then capture that city.
That's all the worries we hear about. Yes. So Alex, thank you very much, and we just wish you that you are successful with the defense of Kyiv. And again, thanks a lot for your visit.
Well, first of all, I said that we will fight for every building, for every house, for every street. Russians really had a chance to capture Ukraine. The same situation like in Prague in 1968, in 2014. But they, really, they may be afraid, or maybe they thought that they trying to do it for proxy forces. And nowadays, all Ukrainians collected as a feast in their solidarity to make a resistance, not only defense but resistance to Russian aggression. But the first asking to Europe is not to feed the monster, because you have to understand that Russia received a lot of money because of business with European Union. It's the first, and the second, please close the sky, because it's not only about safety of Ukraine, it's about safety of all the Europe, and first of all, of course, Eastern Europe. I mean all this situation with nuclear plants and with chemical plants. They can do the terroristic act on nuclear plant, on chemical plant, just like this. So you have to push on your government that they have to cover us, because they cover not us but you. Thank you. Slava Ukraini.
Slava Ukraini. Alex, thank you again. And since time is running out, please just the last presentation by Julia about Krim.
So, good evening. I will just remind that at the moment the whole world, almost the whole world, stands with Ukraine. But in 2014 we all know that the government of many European countries were showing just deep concern about the annexation of the Crimean Peninsula and occupation of Donbas and Lugansk territories. So the world kept silence, and now we have the results. Today I will speak about Crimea because, despite I'm a plant cell biologist from Kyiv, half of my life is connected to this peninsula. So my report is about why Crimea must remain on agenda today. I came to Olomouc in 2015. Just after that, my life was broken into parts. I didn't know what to do, because before I had a dream to live and work at the Crimean Peninsula. I've been already working there for many years since I was a student. And I came to Olomouc knowing just very little things about this beautiful city, only about the inhibitor of kinases olomoucin, which was synthesized there, so I used it in my research previously here. And I was invited by the colleague of the department, Professor Shamai, and I got a Vyshegrád scholarship. But before, it was so hard to adapt and so hard to forget the beautiful place which I have been living and working for more than 10 years. It's Karadak Nature Reserve. It's a volcano from Jurassic period. And it was belonging to the National Academy of Sciences of Ukraine. And here you can see the biological station just by the seaside, and the resort itself and the volcano ridge, Karadak, Black Mountain. And it was visited by my grandfather in the 80s. So it was a very long story. During that time, I was performing my research dedicated to parasitic plants, namely some of very interesting mistletoes, parasitizing junipers. So we published several papers, but I still have a lot of data which I cannot publish because the research is not finished yet. Also, in the meantime, with my friends, we were doing some nice stuff like art herbaristics. We were drawing watercolors about the Crimean flora, and we made a collection of the Crimean plants. So we organized several exhibitions called Flora Taurica, means flora of Crimean Peninsula. And in the meantime, one of my tasks there were the contacts with the local people, Crimean Tatars or Kyrimli. So these are native folks, they are native to the Crimean Peninsula, and this is the only home of these people. And my task was to speak with old Crimean Tatars who were deported, forcibly deported in 1944 by Stalin, and I was trying to ask them to recall the names of the plants before deportation. So it was ethnobotanical work, and I've been collecting phytonyms, the names of the Crimean Tatar plants. And I still have the collection, and I still hope to publish it as a vocabulary, international vocabulary, just to keep this kind of linguistical national heritage. But you know that in 2014, everything stopped for me, just because of the second annexation of the Crimean Peninsula by Russia. Why I'm speaking about second? Because the first one, you know that it was in 18th century when Crimean Peninsula was belonging to Crimean Khanate. And when it happened again, due to the false referendum, in Sevastopol, it was totally falsified, and it was claimed that people want to reunite with Russia, which was, of course, fake. It wasn't true. I was in Sevastopol during that referendum, and I saw how it happened. So many people just ignored, sabotaged, and didn't visit that. And so, of course, later, as you know, it was confirmed by movie, and the fact that coins for so-called return of the Crimea, you can see the coins there. So the coins were issued much before the annexation. So it is the extra confirmation that it was very nicely planned military operation and supported by Russian propaganda. And since 2014, we were witnessing how Russia was using Crimean Peninsula as an incubator for soldiers and weapons. Many political prisoners of Kremlin appeared just because of their pro-Ukrainian positions. We are witnessing the repressions and murders of Crimean Tatar activists. We are recording for gag numerous ecological crimes done by Russia in Crimea. For example, chemical catastrophe in Titan, production a lot of artisan quells, and organization of destroying of UNESCO heritage such as Bakhchisarayский Palace. So it's almost destroyed. And of course, the Ukrainization, denazification at all levels. So it has been already occurring since many years, but only now it spread to all the territory of Ukraine. But it started exactly at the Crimea. So my personal experience from communication with Russian authorities and Russian people when I was visiting Peninsula, because I was going and I was continuing my research, they were blackmailing me by phone calls, by emails. I was interrogated really several times at this fake border near Changar and Chaplinka. So they were asking me what I'm doing there, where I'm traveling, and it was very rude. I was forced several times to write my name in Russian way. So my name is Yulia, and you can see that in Ukrainian it is written with I, so it's like here. But they crossed it, and they destroyed the paper and asked me to rewrite it in Russian way. And it was a problem to me to enter the peninsula. Also, I was even physically attacked at the train by one of the Russians when I was speaking Ukrainian with my grandfather from Vinica by phone, and it happened. So it was showing the atmosphere and attitude even in like everyday level. And of course, my research with mistletoes cannot be continued because when I was trying to enter some of the nature reserves, I was forced not to come because they have some military services there on the territory of that nature reserves. And finally, the route for the Crimea, personally for me, is now completely closed because I'm in the blacklist because I'm supporting Crimean Tatars. And I was announced about that last year. And what I would like to say that if you will hear the question, Crimea is Ukraine or Russia, I think you must know the answer, because the war actually started not now, it started in 2014 with the annexation of Crimea. And that statement which Russian people would like to use, that Putin is the main evil and Russian people are peaceful and they were just deceived, it's not true. Because I was speaking to many people at the Crimea and they were totally satisfied that they got the peninsula for their recreation, for their fun. They were really proud and they didn't want to recognize that it was annexation. Russian people supported that, so they supported the war, and now they're keeping silence and they're trying to be ignorant and pretend that nothing has happened. So no victims, no bombing, no shelling, and now we have a much better, more optimistic scenario, because now Ukraine and the world, we are standing together. And in 2014, it was quite opposite. So Ukraine was alone, claiming that our territory was annexed. And nobody, almost nobody reacted to that. And of course, I should admit that Ukraine was also quite ignorant to the annexation of Abkhazia when Georgian friends were complaining, so we were keeping silence. And that's the result. So I think that now every country should be active and show the real attitude and ask politicians to express it very clearly, very pronouncedly. Because what I think that you can see this nice demotivator, as long as you're silent, I will eat. So that's true. If all these crimes against the humanity will not be commented and publicly shared, it will go on. So if Ukraine will defeat, because now it's standing like a living shield. All other countries, neighboring countries, and not only neighboring countries, will be under attacks. And the key from the war is, I think, is the Crimea. And I really want to be a witness of the time when all annexed territories, like Abkhazia, like Prydnestrovia, will come back to the countries what they are originating from. Yeah, and you know now the answer to the question that Crimea is Ukraine. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much. And as I see, it's already 6 o'clock. So I think all of us who came here just want to help. We are probably unable just to close the sky above Ukraine, but everybody of us can help in many ways. Most of us were sending donations to organizations like Red Cross, Člověk v tísni, or even to the Ukrainian embassy to buy some military equipment. Now we heard about many other options, so let's stand together and let's help how we are able. Now, because I promised that there will be some space to questions, I will ask my colleagues whether they will be able to stay with us a few more minutes. Okay, so if anybody wants to ask, anybody who is here or maybe connected by internet directly from Ukraine, go ahead. There will not be many more chances for that. Okay, everybody is too shy. Maybe, Natalia, you told me that your son is going to speak here publicly. Does he want to really say something about his experiences?
Maybe it's not be very suited for situation. Because my son is, I am bilingual, but my son is not so good in Ukrainian or in English. So just if you ask something, maybe you should ask me because they are just leaving. Sorry.
Okay, what's his name? Sergey?
Sergey.
Sergey, would you like to tell us something, because we have heard so many news, and your English was quite good when we were talking to each other.
In English.
Say hello.
Say hello.
Hello.
Yes, perfect. So I think we could finish with something optimistic. So
yeah.
Anyway,
very
thanks a lot.
Optimistic.
Takže děkuji všem, kteří jste se podíleli na organizaci této akce, všem, kteří pomáháte, a držíme palce všem, kteří jste se dostali do situace, kterou bych nepřál nikomu. Držte se.
Profesoru Opatrnému, taky bych chtěli mu poděkovat za takovou spolupráci a pomoc z organizace k tomu. Děkujeme vám moc.